Good afternoon, class. I just want to touch base real quick. The unit that we're in right now, Unit 2, is a really long unit. We have modules 4 through 9 in this unit, so I just want to touch base real quick, talk about kind of where we're at, where we're going, what to pay attention to as we're moving forward. So we just got through modules 4 and 5 about probability. Module 5 is one of the harder modules in the course. Module 9 is another one that's a little bit tricky. If you kind of get the basic gist of it, it's not too bad at all. But until it sinks in what you're actually doing, Module 9 can be a little bit of a tricky one as well. Where we're at then, so we talked about probability and how to calculate probabilities. And the biggest thing I want you to get out of Modules 4 and 5 is the idea that small probabilities are related to unusual events. If there's a low probability of something happening, it's not likely to happen. This is going to fit into the reasoning that we used in Module 5. So in the analysis there, the reasoning I wanted you to get to was something along the lines of this. So let me give you a real-life example to put it in hopefully fairly simple terms of the reason that we're trying to build up to, and we're going to use this reasoning again in Module 9, and then for the rest of the course after that, we're going to use the same reasoning. So let's say I wake up in the morning, and I grab my phone off my nightstand, and I check the weather. And the weather says, it's going to be beautiful and sunny today. So I say, awesome. I love beautiful sunny days. So I wake up and stretch, and I go and grab my dog to go take my dog on a walk. As soon as I walk outside, it's gray, overcast, and ugly. So there's where I want to pause for a second and talk about the reasoning of what's going on here. I walked outside under the assumption that it was going to be a beautiful sunny day. I took in some evidence. Use my eyes. I took in some evidence that contradicted that assumption. Now, I have two different reasonings that I could use. Reasoning number one is I could say my assumption was wrong. I have evidence that contradicts my assumption. The evidence is right, and therefore my assumption was wrong. My assumption that it was a beautiful day is wrong. The other reason I could use is the evidence is wrong. It's actually a beautiful day, and there's something wrong with my eyes. Now, the more logical one is that first one, to say my assumption was wrong. I have actual evidence here that contradicts this assumption, and so the assumption is wrong. And that's the reason that we're going to be using as we move forward in statistics. We're going to say, if I can do some calculations about how likely an event is under a set of assumptions, and the actual data contradicts that, so for instance, if the probability of the actual evidence happening under those assumptions is low, then that tells me my assumption was wrong. Now, is it possible the other way around? Yeah, it's possible that maybe when I walked outside this morning, I accidentally had my sunglasses on and they have a gray tint to them. And so maybe it actually was a beautiful day and it just looked gray to me. Not very likely, though. The more likely situation is the weatherman was wrong. So that's kind of the reason that we want to use moving forward. So to relate that to the analysis assignment, we are operating under the assumption that the medication had no effect on the ailment. When we looked at the evidence, the real trial where people were taking the medication and saw that it didn't match the data of when we had that assumption, then the assumption's wrong. So we throw that assumption out and say, oh, maybe that the medication did have something to do with the ailment. So that's kind of the reason that we want to be able to use as we move forward in the course. Now, as we move forward in the rest of this unit, for this module in particular, please make sure to pay close attention to the technology corner. It's going to walk you through how to do these problems much easier than the manual way. So I want to make sure that you're using that. If you're having a hard time with your calculator, please reach out to me and I can help you out. So we definitely want to use the functions in the calculator. Now also, when it comes to expected values require an additional step beyond some of the other calculation problems in that you have to come up with your own table. Your own probability distribution is really what you're kind of doing. Make sure that you follow the tables like I've shown in the video lesson, but also if you look at the detailed solutions, if you get a problem wrong and you see the detailed solutions, the expected value problems also walk you through how to create that table by looking at what all the possible outcomes are, the associated value with those outcomes, and the probability for each of those outcomes. If you can come up with that table, then doing the calculation for expected value is trivial. It's a matter of just putting in the calculator and it's spitting out an answer. So coming up with that table is the important part. So identifying what are the outcomes and then reading through the problem and saying what value is associated with those outcomes and what's the probability associated with them. When it comes to the value, just keep in mind that you're always looking at the net value. So there's cases where, for instance, if we're buying a warranty, that we got to pay money for the warranty, but if we have to cash in on the warranty, we get money back. If I had to pay $10 for the warranty and I get $100 back from them, my net gain is only $90 because the money that actually changed hands evens out to $90 in my favor. So that's the value that we put into the table. Whereas if I didn't cash in on the warranty, I'm out $10, so it'd be minus $10. So just pay attention to that. And as I mentioned in the module 2, pay attention to which expected value we're looking for. Are we looking for the expected value from the perspective of the person or from the company? So that's going to change what the positives and negatives are, basically. So it's going to change the sign of your final answer. So with that said, I just want to make a quick little touch and base with you through video, because it's been a little while since I made a video for you, besides your video lessons and things like that. So anyhow, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful June, and I will talk to you again soon.